morning, kids! You seem to be using a lot of water to wash and clean today. Do you know where the dirty water goes after we use it?
Down into the drain, no?
Yes, down the drain. But do you know what we mean when we say down the drain?
It ends up in the sea.
That's partly true. Soapy water and water used to flush the toilet goes through a process that thoroughly treats it to make the water harmless and thus safe to be discharged into the sea. But before we get into that, we need to understand what drainage water is made of. Obviously, there's toilet water, which contains
Pee, poo, and paper.
exactly human excrement and biodegradable toilet paper. We call this black water. But drainage water also contains the water that we use to wash ourselves, our clothes, or our
Plates?
And the floor.
Precisely. We call this kind of water grey water because it contains soap and other chemicals that we use to clean. Our used water goes down into our drainage pipes and, with the help of gravity and pumps, it is pushed towards one of the drainage plants that we have in Malta and Gozo.
But what happens in a drainage plant?
When our drainage reaches the plant, it is put through different processes to remove any type of solid matter. The water that is left over is then treated to remove all the chemicals which could damage our environment. After all this, all the dry sludge that is taken out is sent to one of our landfills, while the treated water is thrown back into the sea.
Doesn't this damage our marine environment?
No, because our treated water does not contain chemicals or contaminants, and therefore the water is safe to go back into its natural cycle without causing any harm.
Yeah, but the sea must stink.
Not at all. Because once the water is treated, it has no smell and doesn't pollute either. In fact, Malta was the first country in the Mediterranean to treat all its drainage before throwing it into the sea. And today, our waters are so clean that many of our bays have been given a blue flag.
What's a blue flag?
The blue flag is an international award that shows that a bay is clean and safe.
It's a shame, though, that all the water ends up in the sea.
That's true. And that's why nowadays, instead of throwing all of that water into the sea, we are making sure that we purify it even more so that it will be good enough to be used by farmers at least.
Wait, what?
That water's dirty though.
Do you remember how we were talking about purifying salt water through reverse osmosis?
Of course!
The treated water, which is already safe to be discarded into the sea, goes through another treatment that uses filters like those found in reverse osmosis, which makes the water not only safe to be disposed of, but also safe to be used by our farmers to water their fruit and vegetables. Before all this, farmers were using water from our aquifers to water their fields. But today, a lot of them are using less aquifer water and more of our treated drainage. We call this new water.
After my mom cooks, she uses the water from the pot to water the plants.
That's super! Cooking water has many nutrients from the food that was cooked, and these are good for plants. We shouldn't throw it down the drain. Can you mention any other things that we shouldn't throw down the drain?
Oil,
Paint?
medicine,
Good! Always remember and tell your parents, cooking oil or car oil, food leftovers, animal excrement and dead animals, personal hygiene items, leaves and pesticides should never be thrown down the drain.
It's so important that we are careful about what we throw down the drain.
I had no idea that drainage could be a resource too.
I'm off, kids. I'm going to meet my other drop mates because we have a lot of clothes that need washing. Bye!
This project is part-financed by the European Union under the Cohesion Fund, European Structural and Investment Funds 2014-2020.